Personally, I don't have a problem with background checks. However, I do have a problem with universal background checks. I have a problem with them because the only way to enforce them is to implement a universal gun registration. I don't like gun registrations because they always lead to gun confiscation. The politicians who push for universal background checks know this, so they avoid talking about details of universal background checks because if they do, they'll have to inevitably admit that a universal background check is useless. And even more useless without a national gun registry. This is Neera Tanden. Joe Biden has nominated Neera Tanden to become the Director of Office of Management and Budget. When I was on the Bill Maher show, Neera and I went back and forth about universal background checks.
So when I see those number of guns up there, my mind doesn't automatically go to, oh my God, that's horrible and that's bad.
I totally hear what you're saying. I guess what I'm saying to you is, what you're trying to do is say that progressives, liberals, whatever, want to ban guns. No one's saying ban your gun. We're saying regulate them so people with mental illness have background checks, a variety of things about certain types of guns. No one is saying you can't have a gun.
This is a very typical response of anti-2A politicians. They speak very broadly on the issue, so you can't nail them down to specifics. And then they'll bring up a point that you didn't even make and then argue against that point. She does this by saying, you think all the liberals want to take your guns. No one is saying take your guns. Just regulate them. Do I think anti-2A politicians would like to take all the guns if they could? Yes. But that's not the argument I'm making here, as you can clearly see.
But also the last point I wanted to make with respect to you seeing the number of guns up there and you feeling some type of way is I look at guns differently than you do.
Yes.
And there was a point in time where I looked at it probably the same way you did, right? I had about as an organic progression of firearm ownership as one can have. I was against guns. I didn't like them. But I went to the range one time and I shot a gun, and that changed for me. And so now I can see a myriad of reasons for why someone would own a firearm, whether it be recreation, sports, collecting, so forth and so on. So when I see those number of guns up there, my mind doesn't automatically go to, oh my God, that's horrible and that's bad.
I totally hear what you're saying. I guess what I'm saying to you is, what you're trying to do is say that progressives, liberals, whatever, want to ban guns. No one's saying ban your gun. We're saying regulate them so people with mental illness have background checks, a variety of things about certain types of guns. No one is saying you can't have a gun.
I didn't say anything about her or liberals wanting to ban guns. The irony is, that's exactly what an assault weapon ban is. It's a ban on an extremely popular gun. The word ban is in the name. However, I want you to pay attention to what happens when I try to get her to explain how they would actually enforce a universal background check.
And I know the NRA always wants to say people are saying ban guns, but they're not. They're simply saying for my safety and the protection of children and other people, we should have regulations like background checks on every single gun.
Now, how would you enforce that?
Okay.
You know, as we've done in the past.
If we're going to suggest a solution, at least have something that's enforceable, right?
It is enforceable.
So
we have background checks. Do them for gun shows. Do them for regular. We have had discussions of bills. The NRA fights them. The Toomey Mansion bill. Support that bill. Would you support that bill?
After you answer my question.
How would you
enforce?
When did I lose control of this whole show?
As you can see, she can't explain it because she knows they would have to have a national database of every gun and the owners of said guns. And the only way to have that is to have a national registration of all the guns. Now, if you don't think a national gun registration is a bad thing, then that's on you. But I can assure you that the goal of a national gun registry is to use it to confiscate guns.
Well, the story really begins in the 20s, the Weimar Republic. There was a lot of political violence, and they thought, well, we can do something about it. They had the same gun debates as today, but then they thought, well, if we can only license gun owners and register them, that will help calm things down. And of course, the communists and the Nazis who were fighting each other, they didn't register. I don't need no license for nothing. You know what I mean? That was their attitude. So law-abiding people registered. And when they passed the registration, that was at the end of 1931, the equivalent to the Attorney General said, do not let the records fall into the wrong hands, the hands of radical elements. And within 2 years, the radical elements took power. Hitler, the National Socialist Party took power in 1933. They immediately used the gun registration records to disarm and attack their political enemies, That would be the Social Democrats and the others, the same ones who had passed these registration laws to begin with. They disarmed and attacked some Jews, but predominantly in 1933, it was against the political enemies. We go through a period of 5 years, and in September, October 1938, they began to confiscate the guns from Jews. They knew who had them. The guns were registered. I found in my research archives that have arrest reports of, yes, this person's a Jew. He's a danger to the German people. He has to be disarmed. He
Enemy of
registered
the
his
state,
guns
yeah.
in 1931 or 32.
Wow.
And they disarmed them, and then we have, in November, the attacks on the whole Jewish community after they were disarmed, Reichskristallnacht, or the Night of the Broken Glass.
The reason why I keep harping on universal background checks is because that is going to be the Biden administration's main focus, along with an assault weapon ban. They understand the power of a gun registry, but they also know that a lot of people are anti-gun registry. So they're trying to use universal background checks like a Trojan horse. Don't be fooled by this. And understand, a gun licensing scheme does the exact same thing. I could maybe understand a gun registry if it actually saved lives, but it doesn't. It's nothing more than a tool for the inevitable confiscation of your firearms.
Right now, there's a culture war against the Second Amendment, which is why I need your help spreading our message to counter their message. You can help do this by leaving a comment, sharing this video, and clicking the bell and subscribe button. Let my voice be your voice, and let them know you want to keep America tactical, because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion, it was a directive. Also, if you're wondering where to purchase your AR-15s are essential, I will not comply. I am the militia. I lost all my guns in a boating accident, and your state-specific Keep America Tactical shirt, click the link next to my head or the link in the description section, or if you're watching this on a mobile device, tap the small triangle on the lower right-hand side of this video and click the link in the description.
All right, now we have the performance mask at shop.mrcolionnoir.com. And no, these aren't the masks that suffocate you to death. You can breathe in this mask. It's lightweight material, very high quality. You know how I do.